Welcome back. Russia's unwieldy influence on the 2016 election still very much on the mind of the FBI director.
We'll do everything we can to identify, investigate, and call out foreign efforts to influence our electoral process.
Now, as we learned yesterday from the Washington Post, part of that investigation includes a court-ordered warrant to surveil Carter Page. He's a former Trump policy advisor. The campaign once promoted his involvement, but now says he was a nobody. Yesterday, in an interview with CNN's Jake Tapper, listen here, Page firmly denied his talks with Russians ever included the possibility that candidate Trump, if he became President Trump, might ease sanctions on the Kremlin.
Did you ever talk with anyone there about maybe President Trump, if he were elected, then candidate Trump, would be willing to get rid of the sanctions?
Never any direct conversation such as that. I mean, it's...
What do you mean direct conversation? I don't know what that means, direct conversation.
Well, I'm just saying, no, that was never said, no.
You never said that to anybody, that you think that if Donald Trump won, he might be willing to get rid of the sanctions against Russia?
No.
Well, now listen again. This morning, as never becomes, well, I don't remember.
I never offered that. No, nothing along those lines. Absolutely not. I mean, it may... Topics, I don't remember. We'll see what comes out in this FISA transcript. Something may have come up in a conversation. I have no recollection, and there was nothing specifically that I would have done that would have given people that impression.
Talk about being flexible.
Gumby like. This is why you don't do television interviews when there's a FISA warrant out for you, right? Or whether you're the center of an FBI investigation.
We want him to the TV every day. No, but don't you dare say that.
You make
on the hour.
You make a key point. Here is someone who wants to blame President Obama for this warrant, and if he can prove that someday, let's see the evidence. But it's very hard to go to the FISA court, the Foreign Intelligence Court, and get a warrant on an American citizen. The FBI has a pretty high bar to make the case that to get this extraordinary power that we believe, and here's probable cause, that this person is acting as an agent of a foreign government. That's a big deal. Now, to your point, if you look at the answer with Jake last night, which became a different answer with George this morning, it sort of sounded to me like somebody talked to his attorney.
Yeah. Also, is this the third Trump advisor who's forgotten their conversations with Russia about sanctions? Yeah. At least. I guess these conversations are just so forgettable that. But I think you're right. I think he probably talked to his lawyer that he can't say never.
Be a little bit more careful. Yeah.
Sure.
If you are Carter Page, you probably shouldn't be on television talking about this stuff in the first place. But also, it's important to know that if this is the person we're talking about, the White House and the Trump campaign have been trying for a long time to get rid of Carter Page because he's a problem for them. Right. And it's pretty apparent why he's such a problem. But the question remains, why was he brought in the first place? Did he come to them? Did someone go to him? Yeah. He said with Jake yesterday in an interview that the last time he talked to Trump associates at the White House, campaign, whatever, was January 20th. Why so late if the campaign had and the White House had distanced themselves from him since last summer? So a lot of unanswered questions here. The White House knows that he's a problem. I remember early in January, Sean Spicer saying, we've put Carter Page on warning for so long. That's the kind of language that you use when you're trying to get someone to be quiet and stop incriminating himself.
And to this point, it's the first face-to-face in Moscow. The Secretary of State met with Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, yesterday. Yeah. The Secretary of State spent 4+ hours in meetings with the Russian foreign minister. As we know, the President of the United States calls it a hoax, tries to belittle this investigation into Russian election meddling. Well, Secretary Tillerson said that, asked and answered, he believes there's no reason to discuss with the Russians because he's seen the evidence that it's true. Listen to the Russian foreign minister on that subject saying, no, we don't think so.
I can only say once again that just as in the case with the so-called Russian hackers and the chemical incidents in Syria, we would very much like to get some concrete evidence, not just words. So far, we have not seen any facts.
I couldn't quite make out the translation there, but I think he said 400-pound guy in New Jersey. No, it's...
They've seen no facts, no evidence.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's deadly serious business, but what's so striking about this whole story is that whoever the Russians were paying was giving them some bad political intel, because they invested a lot of capital in trying to get the platform changed at the RNC last summer. As all of us here know, and lots of folks at home know, the platform of a party has zero impact on actual governance in this country. It just doesn't, it's a sort of document that activists argue about, and it means nothing. And now here we are, and you've got, you know, sort of Cold War level hostilities back and forth between the president and Russia less than 100 days in. So it just strikes me as the Russian money wasn't that well spent.
Although maybe the objective here was signal sending, to sort of send a broader signal beyond the United States political scene about where the Republican Party, or perhaps the Trump administration, is heading. It's a little unclear what that was about, but you know, even if it was a sort of misguided effort, it's really puzzling why the Republican Party would allow themselves to be used in that way. A party that for many, many years has had a very hawkish view of Russia. Changing on a dime like that is something that should raise a lot of
red flags. It showed how adrift they were, too, after Trump seized the nomination, right? And sort of shifting sands of the party. Nobody knew who actually was in control, and you had the Trump staff was just constantly moving around, and they were kind of vulnerable to this.
I need to stop the conversation for a minute. We have some breaking news. I need to go to CNN's Barbara Starr at the Pentagon. Apparently, the United States military has used an extraordinary military ordinance in Afghanistan. Barbara, give us the details.
Hello, John. We are just now learning, and CNN has this exclusively right now. A short time ago, the U.S. Air Force dropped a 21,000-pound bomb in eastern Afghanistan, the first use ever of this weapon in combat. This is a weapon called the Massive Ordnance Air Blast Bomb. It was dropped in eastern Afghanistan in Nangarhar province against a complex of ISIS tunnels, personnel that had been assembling in that area of Nangarhar. The U.S. military had this weapon in development for years, but now today, just a few hours ago, dropping the bomb in combat, according to U.S. officials, for the first time ever. This massive 21,000-pound bomb, we have video we're showing of the testing of the bomb, but again, not used in combat until today, we are told. This is such a heavy bomb, such a large bomb. It is put in the back of a cargo plane, a special operations cargo plane, and basically pushed out the back of it. Now they've dropped it on this ISIS complex of fighters in eastern Afghanistan. This is an area where just a few days ago, a U.S. special operations soldier was killed in action in a firefight with ISIS fighters. It's an area the U.S. has been trying to go after to clear ISIS out of there. An extraordinary use of this weapon, to put mildly how seriously the U.S. Air Force takes this bomb. The official name is the Massive Ordnance Air Blast Bomb, MOAB, MOAB. The nickname inside the Air Force for this, quite seriously, is the mother of all bombs. John?
And Barbara, we're watching the testing video, and you watch the impact of this play out. You mentioned this was developed some time ago. Is the fact that it hasn't been used before because there was not an opportune target, or because it's controversial if you're going to drop the mother of all bombs, as you just noted? Obviously, a president, a commander-in-chief, a defense secretary has to sign off on the stakes of what they're doing.
Well, indeed they do, and I would think it's very fair to assume it's a combination of both things, John, that you just mentioned. This is a bomb that was designed years ago when the U.S. was at war in Iraq, and they were looking at going after a number of targets of Saddam Hussein-type targets. They never had the opportunity to use it, in part because they could never match up, just what you said, the right target with the right weapon. Plus, it's no small proposition to drop 21,000 pounds at one time. So clearly, for reasons that we're still trying to puzzle out here, they felt that this was the right target. If you want to go after ISIS tunnels in eastern Afghanistan, which is a very remote area, this might be the weapon that you would choose, because you can assure destruction of the tunnel if they're in a rock area, in a hard dirt area. This is a bomb that the target is killed off essentially by air blast. It's not like a penetrator into a bunker that we've all seen for so many years. This is an air blast weapon. happen. The air blast is essentially what kills the target. They would have been very concerned about civilians in the area, civilian casualties, and presumably they felt that they could use this without risking civilian casualties in the area. Because again, it was just a few days ago that U.S. troops were there, Special Operations Forces engaged in combat with ISIS fighters there, a U.S. soldier killed in combat. And, you know, once that happens, they do look for a way to try and go back and finish what they were doing there, and they decided to use this. We know, by the way, from our own Pentagon reporter, Ryan Brown, that this weapon had been in theater, had been in Afghanistan for some time. So they had it on standby. They were obviously waiting to find the right target to use it. And today they did, dropping this bomb, we are told, just a few hours ago. They are conducting battle damage assessment. They are flying reconnaissance over the target to see if they caused the exact damage that they wanted to cause, or whether they will have to go back and restrike again. But it's very early into this extraordinary mission, and we don't have an answer to that yet.
Barbara, I appreciate the breaking news coming in and your context for it. I'm going to let you go for a minute so you can get back to your reporting. Come back as soon as you have some new information. As we let Barbara get back to reporting on this dramatic breaking news, let's bring in our CNN military.